I appreciate that, and like I
Hey,
said to you on the floor, you were one of the most accommodating con runners that I've worked with, and if you couldn't do it, you figured out a way that you could do it, right? So you made our experience that much better.
let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to episode 78, I believe, of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I am your host, Chris, joined as always by Baby Girl, who's in my lap, Pumpkin, who is over there. And this is a special episode. This is our GDEX sort of recap episode. We're going to have some guests pop in and out throughout the event. So we're going to kind of be doing this live, as they say. Let's see. I say Yua. I see you're a viewer. If you want to jump in, feel free. Um, but yeah, man, what a GDEX. What a GDEX. It was a ton of fun. I am like I said, I'm still recovering. I'm still pretty tired. However, I think I managed to avoid getting sick, which is great. I normally get sick after GDEX, and there was also something going around that a couple of our volunteers had, and I think a couple of our guests had, like a little cold or something that lasted for a couple days. I managed to avoid that as well. You can probably hear I'm losing my voice a little bit. I'm going to try to keep myself hydrated. But that's a result of talking for pretty much 4 days straight to people. So, um, but yeah, it was a great time. Thanks, Yua. Yeah, Tom is in the chat. Yua is in the chat. Yua did. He helped some vending with one of our artists, Paul, who did that Metroid print, that Metroid screen print. Um, and I ended up buying one of those. He made those specifically for GDEX, so that's cool. But I guess that kind of opens up. We've kind of kicked around an idea of like, we could do a GDEX, like a page on the website that showcases like all the art that's specifically being made for this year's GDEX. That could be kind of a cool idea, so that people can see ahead of time what sort of specialty items will be at the show. We haven't posted it yet, but we had a one of our artists while he was at the show. He created an image. Um, I don't think I can show it without breaking this. Um, so I don't want to do that. We'll get too deep into it. But yeah, here, let me see if I can maybe find it um, on here, and hopefully it won't. Oh no, it's gonna. I think it might steal. It might steal me away. I'm not sure. But if I'm still here, if I'm still here doing things, let's see if it works okay. So let me go here. I'll go here. And then oh my god, Tom, we've got to do something. There are too many channels. There's like 50 channels on this Discord server. We've got to figure out a way to, cuz I don't know where to go. Um, Here we go. Yeah, there we go. So, let's go ahead and do this. Good morning, Ariel Knight. How you doing? All right, so let's pull up this. Oh my god. I swear Discord is sometimes or not. Delete that. Take me back here. There we go. That's what I want. All right, there we go. This is an image that was created by one of the artists while they were at GDEX, creating sort of a GDEX character. So this is Gabby Dex. So I don't know. I'm gonna talk to the artist. Maybe should we incorporate this into our family? You know, we have G, we have Dex. You right there, sweetie. D.exe. Then we've got our dragon, Lumi, and then of course Carrie is our underworld lead. So maybe we can bring Gabby Dex into the family. I'll reach out to the artist. He had some cool stuff. He had the I've got it here. Hold on a second. I'll show it. Here's baby again. Here's the Metroid image that I bought. I'm super excited to hang that up. But this is that Legend of Zelda. It's hard to image. So I got this. Roll that up. Like I said, this is an informal. We're doing it live here, so. Did anybody else in the chat get any kind of cool artwork from any of the artists or vendors? All right. But yeah, both those are cool. And then I also got, I don't know if I got it around me. I don't know where it's at, but I got a, by the artist who was doing the wood burning. I got a cool Super Meat Boy piece from him. I wanted to get the Metal Gear one, and I saw it, and I went and I talked to him, and I was like, oh, I totally want to buy this, but I was like rushing, moving between things to go do something. And then by the time I got back to him, it had been sold out. I wanted the Solid Snake Metal Gear piece, but oh well, that's what happens when you delay, I guess. Oh, Caleb, I see you on. Did you want to hop in chat and join us for a little bit? While he's responding, let's see. We've got a bunch of games and more. See, is that Joseph? Yeah, jump on the stream. Oh, we got Mike on. Izzy Dojo, how's it going, man? Yeah, if you want to, Caleb. I mean, no pressure. But if you want to hop on the stream, you're welcome to join. We can swap to a two-person thing. Meetings. No good. No good for anybody. We'll have people jumping on and off for 5 or 10 minutes here or there. So if you change your mind, it doesn't have to be for the full 45 minutes. You're welcome to just pop in. Oh shoot! I just noticed while we're here. Let's get rid of this. We defaulted to. There we go. We defaulted to Mario Kart. So let's go ahead and push that. All right, there we go. Yeah, so the artists were really good. Let's see. The talks. Oh, we've got a guest. A wild Steve has appeared. Let's get him situated.
I have appeared. Can you hear me, Chris?
I can.
Okay, good.
So let me change a couple things here. Let's get rid of you.
Sure.
And then let's do. If you put your video on, can you do that?
I thought I had it on. Oh, dang it. Hang on. Turn on camera. I didn't realize it didn't do that automatically. This is the first I've used Discord for video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't like. I use some other tools, but let me do this too, so I don't look all corporate here.
It's okay. I'm moving stuff around live, so it's all good.
Well, I remember I was telling you I had an interview selling insurance, and like I was like, oh, if they have like a base salary, maybe I'll entertain it, right? There's no base salary. I can't do that with kids. So I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
It's commission only.
It's commission only, and they want me every week to drive to Pittsburgh on Monday, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Just there's no guarantee. There's no I can't do that. Not with kids. If it was just me and my wife, I would entertain it.
Yeah,
but that's not my forte. So
yeah, I feel you.
But now you got to rearrange everything.
Yeah, it's all right. That's what we're here for. Like I said, this is sort of like a drop-in thing. Also, this is all messed up. I was like, why is my video so much larger than yours? All right. Well, just real fast, Steven, do you want to introduce yourself before we just start chatting about things?
Sure. My name is Stephen Heywood. I am from the Tech Buzz Gaming, and Chris had invited me out along with Gary. I had one of the broadcast. I had the broadcasting booth that was on the floor, right in the front, where we were doing panels all weekend long. And my voice is finally coming back, Chris. So
yeah, I'm still working on mine. Thank you for those cough drops and the honey, though.
Did that help?
Yeah. So I didn't get to the honey, but I definitely used the cough drops all weekend long.
The honey helped me after it started dissolving in the water. We didn't realize that it wouldn't work in cold water, so we had to wait till the water got warm, and then I just kept shaking it, and it just looked bad on camera. I was like, "What is that?" So.
Yeah, I'm a water purist. I just like plain water. I don't want flavors in there. I don't want it to bubble at me or anything. But that's just me. That's just me being obstinate, stubborn.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
So, man, your background's way better than mine. I need to up my game over here.
Yeah, you just need like a little green screen that you can throw up like something from your room or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it's mostly just I've been trying to like kind of organize. Dude, my house. Look at this. Look at this. You want to see this? Look at this. This is
from GDEX Explosion, right?
That's just a fraction of the boxes. If you look over there, there's a whole bunch more. It's just the weeks leading up to GDEX are just a hot mess, and I just box after box, just grabbing stuff, throwing it around. So this is the life that we lead here. But so yeah, first off, thanks for coming to the show. I really appreciate you being there. I think it added definitely a good vibe. And I know you got a chance to talk to some of the developers. I don't think you hit as many as you had wanted to, right?
Yeah, the developers, some of them were walking around, and I was telling them, I was like, hey, feel free, come by. My wife will get you scheduled. We'll get you on the panel. And they kind of was like that meme with Homer Simpson where he just kind of backs off into the hedge on the side. And
yeah.
they were like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. So some of the vendors or the independent developers, I went to their booth and they're like, please don't put me on camera. I don't want to be on camera. And so that was kind of difficult. But some of the other ones, like Dan with the Violets of Amicus, he was like, yeah, like, when can I come on? So
yep. Well, I think,
developing.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, we said this before. Like a lot of folks in this space are, introverts at heart. We're all kind of weirdos, and so it's sometimes it's like, I've helped over the past 15 years or whatever. I've helped hundreds of businesses kind of get started and move along, and there are things, and this is one of them where it's like, hey, you need to get good at public speaking. I recommend this to all of my students. Like, if you look at public speaking like a skill, I think it becomes a little less scary and overwhelming. So if you rewind 15 years ago, like how many developers actually knew how to code, right? And then you learned how to code, and it took you time, and you figured it out. Public speaking isn't any different. But the reality is like no one's going to be like, you have to be your best advocate, right? And like if you build a community, they might be excited about your product, but if you're not able to talk about your product, like why is anybody else going to be interested in it? And so we try to offer all these opportunities, and I've been thinking like maybe we've done workshops around community building and marketing and things, but maybe we should just straight up do like a public speaking workshop next year, where it's like, tips and tricks.
Public speaking would be good, especially like if you were teaching or somebody that has the experience, because you're already doing this for a living, basically, right? As a professor.
Yeah.
I myself, I had to take public speaking as well in college when I was there, so I just got better, and I'm not the best to, just put that out there, but by doing these broadcasts and working with people, one of the things that I feel like is a strong point, just like what you were doing when you're on the panel with us, is flying by the seat of our pants, right? We can read the people that are on the panel and be able to say, okay, we're going to take the conversation this direction and make something about it, right? And have a good time, and people are interested in hearing what we have to say.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that's ultimately excuse me. That's ultimately the kind of like core skill, is to listen to people and then be able to give them something to like attach to where they can take the conversation. Like as a moderator, that's really, really important. And then as a guest, you need to be able to take whatever you're given. It's like a dance, right, between moderator and guest. And so if you can take what's given to you and then be able to expand on it, that's also really, really important. It does suck when you are on a panel or something and the moderator is just not giving you a lot to work with. It can become challenging on how to, just keep that conversation going. But, I'll tell you what, like I'll tell a weird story. So a couple weeks ago, this is like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I, as part of my Senate thing, I went to Springfield, Ohio for the Ohio, you want to get down, sweetie? Say hi. For the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus meeting. And I went and I talked to a guy. I kind of just inserted myself in this conversation. And you could tell, like, these guys were just like, they didn't know what to do with me. They were like, who's this white boy coming up and chatting with me? And it kind of like took us a second. And so I was just kind of asking questions. And, the conversation wasn't really going. I think I maybe interrupted a conversation, which, of course, was not my intention. I was just trying to, like, meet people and introduce myself because I went by myself. So I was just like, oh, it was nice to meet you. Thanks. And I walked away. And then after like 10 minutes, I went back because I had asked one of the guys, I'd asked both of them, but one of the guys what his job was. And he said he was a software developer. And so I came back and I was like, well, what kind of software development do you do? And he sort of started telling me, a little bit still standoffish maybe, but then I just kept asking him questions about the type of software he develops, 'cause I have experience with like enterprise solutions and stuff. And once I got him talking about like the type of development he really liked, I mean, we had like a 40-minute conversation. And so I think as a skill, and Sis Crusher mentions this, communication, verbal and written, it's not a side skill, it's critical. Whether you are standing in front of a group like we were at your booth over the weekend on a
Mhm.
podcast, or you're standing in front of your team trying to get a game design idea across, learning how to relay that information is really, really important. And like I said, I keep saying it's a skill. And because it's a skill, it's something that can be learned. There are people.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert at heart. Like I that's just the reality. Is I much most days I would rather be just sitting on my couch playing games, sitting next to my cat and my dog, than out chatting with people. But I have been doing this for so long that I've just kind of become good at it.
I think that's 100%. I think one of the things with, as you mentioned, it's a learned skill. Let's take, for instance, you came up to me, I think it was Saturday morning, and you said, "Hey, listen, there is a with the gentleman from IGN. Look, he has a
Adam.
family emergency.
Yep.
Adam, thank you. He's not able to make it. He's like, you said, can you take the panel and run with it? I'm like going to be swamped later. We had no idea, but you know what? I found a common ground between all my guys that were going to be on it, and we attacked that. And I just kind of moderated that, and it ended up turning out really, really good. We had a lot of good feedback. People came in, they pulled us aside outside. So I think understanding your audience, I think these developers, if they understood that nobody's expecting them to be, the best presenter, but to be able to passionately talk about their product, I think they could do fine with it.
Totally. Well, Sir Chadley OC says the panel was so good. You did such a great job moderating that discussion. So
Oh, I
good work.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I just for the audience, like, this was the first time you and I had ever connected. So like, besides our interactions at GDEX and a few, phone calls or whatever beforehand. But I just saw you. I saw you work. I saw your setup. I saw how you engaged with your guests, and so I felt like you would be comfortable moderating. I made sure, obviously, to ask you first. I didn't try to throw it at you, but that just sometimes things happen. Adam texted me, and he was just like, "Hey, man, I got to drive up to Cleveland for this, like, again, this family emergency." He's like, I'm gonna try really hard to get back, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get back." And I was like, "Okay, well, why don't I get somebody?" Because I was supposed to be on the panel, but my schedule was filling up, and I was just going to be back to back between. I had a panel at 2, and then the keynote at 5, and then the awards at 6. And I was like, okay, I just don't have time to like do these things properly. Like I got to get the awards organized, right? And if
You're
anybody came,
already losing your voice too.
yeah, yeah. And if anybody came to the awards ceremony, I mean, it was pretty obvious just sort of how sort of frantic I was because I was trying to piece things together in the back of my mind. But so yeah, in the future, we're gonna move the keynote to an earlier time. But and last year I didn't do the keynote. Last year the keynote was a guest. Most of the years the keynote doesn't involve me doing anything. But anyway, this is my long rambling way of saying I appreciate you stepping in and helping out.
Oh yeah, it was no problem. Like I said, we had fun, and also the guys I had been working with them for the most part, like Mike, Izzy Dojo. That was the first I've ever met Mike, was at your convention, and
Mm-hmm.
we just kind of hit it off. We were talking for a long time on Friday, and we hit it off. And I invited him to be a regular on the panels that weekend because I felt like he had a lot to say, and he knew what he was talking about. So once I got comfortable with how everybody was working together and flowing, I knew the panel would be fine. It would be. That's why I didn't even hesitate when you asked. And I think next year, and this is something we could talk about down there, is I think people really got a lot out of how to start content creation, and that
Mm-hmm.
might be something we could even branch off with even further than what we originally did in that panel.
Yeah, I agree. So content creation is always a big one. Voice acting is always a big one.
Voice acting. Yeah.
I mean, obviously we have our dev day where we get a lot of like in-depth developer kind of stuff, but music composition is always a big one too. Like, but going back to your point, one of the things I also like to tell our speakers, and I actually on Sunday, one of our people who's come to GDEX many times before as a student was a student of mine. And she was like, I think I'm going to put in for a panel next year. I was like, you should, because the whole point of GDEX is to help people be successful. And even Esteban, I don't know if you got a chance to meet him from Unity. He had pinged me the night before, and he's like, hey, I've never done this talk before. Like, I know the material. I've just never done it. I'm super nervous. Like, I don't want to make a fool of myself or waste anybody's time. I was like, dude, everyone that's coming to GDEX, like, they want to see you succeed. Right? Like the community is not trying to, pull something over you. They want to see you succeed and they want to learn from you. So just, relax and have fun. And I probably said this to you, but I say this to all my speakers is like, GDEX is not supposed to be a stressful experience, So if you're coming to the show, whether you're a speaker or a guest or whatever, exhibitor, like, I don't want you stressing out about it. We had another speaker who was talking about, he's like, I've spent like 40 hours, something like 40 or 100 hours working on this talk and trying to make this all work. I was like, and it was like the night before his talk. I'm like, dude, just take a breath. Wherever you're at is fine. If you can like wrap up anything to make it clean, but just go into them and be like, hey, some of the stuff I'm doing is complex and I wasn't able to get it where I wanted it to, and use that as a jumping off point for a conversation,
Well, as well as maybe even the chat can chime in on this, but as well as anybody, you could have all the preparations done for your for your talk or whatever it is that you're doing. But I've kind of moved away from having written word. I literally will do bullet points. And the reason for that is because I could go into something, but if you're interacting with your audience there in the talk, they could take you down a whole nother direction that makes it even better, because it's something they want to know. And you might not have even planned for that or thought they were even, at that point. So I think being flexible helps too, and letting your audience kind of direct or guide, or even your panel, if you're doing it with a bunch of guys, like being flexible to allow that to just flow naturally. And I think it makes for a better panel, honestly.
Yeah. And, it obviously depends too. Like, some of the Dev Day talks are very like in-depth programming stuff.
Right. Well, that's different.
You need to do it. But yeah, I agree. That's another thing. So at the end of my class, every semester, they have to do a presentation of their game that they've designed. And one of the things I always tell students, I was like, don't use note cards, man. Like, don't worry about having everything written down, because what happens, like almost 100% of the time, is you're reading off your note cards, and then something happens, like the slide on the screen isn't where it should be compared to the note card, or you miss a line on the note card, and then you're like, oh, I need to go back and say that, and it throws off your rhythm. And once your rhythm gets thrown off, like, it takes a second to get back there. But like you said, bullet points, I think, when if you have a slide deck, for example, every slide should mentally tune you into the thing you're supposed to talk about. So don't put a bunch of text on the slide. Don't put a bunch of bullet points on the slide. Just put the major information, whether it's an image or a sentence or whatever, and use that as the kickoff point for what you want to talk about. And if you do that, it becomes a lot more conversational too. It's less about feeling like you have to read a book report in front of the class for 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough. The other things that I've found tough, even going to conventions where people want to jump on a panel, and like you were saying, people will sit there and they'll give me like one-word answers instead of elaborating or kind of, because they're nervous, right? So you'll ask them, say, what was your favorite thing at the convention so far? I don't know. And then you have to work, and if it's one-on-one, that's really tough.
Yeah,
because you have to use your skills and really pull that out of them and get them in that comfort zone, like you said, with the one developer, where after that he was talking about it for 40 minutes or whatever, because the passion started coming out. But you have to find that, and that's tough sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And again, as a moderator or a host, be real careful about, like, try to create questions that can't be answered in one word if you can. That does it. that will sometimes give people, and I'll also ice break sometimes where it's like if I don't really know somebody, I might ask them questions that can be yes or no questions, but that's just so we can kind of get the ball rolling. So it's like, did you have fun? Yes or no? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one of the things I would talk to you about. This was been brought up as an idea. Actually, Abdallah Smash mentioned this, but it might be cool in the future to do like these little dev promo spots where maybe for like an hour or two every day we filter in developers. Real short, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes per developer, and they get a chance to show a trailer or a little bit of gameplay, and then you just talk about their game real quick, and just like one after the other, just being like, oh, here's all the cool developers that are coming on the show. Send them to your desk so you don't have to kind of go around, but just make sure that they're prepped. Just like you're gonna have 5 minutes, and you've got 2 minutes for a trailer, and they hand the trailer off to your production team. So I'm curious your thoughts about something like that, where we can just go through and really promote what's at the show.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. That was one thing that Dan had to get for us for his game. His media personnel, she had to send it overnight with Google Drive. So as long as these guys are prepared ahead of time, I think they'd be all right. The only thing I'm concerned about is, do they know how to capture the footage? Like some of the guys, maybe they don't know how, which is okay. We would just have to find a way to capture it for them with their system or whatever.
Well,
before it happens,
if we did it in advance, I say this, but like everything happens at the last minute, whether it's the GDEX itself or the exhibitors or speakers or whatever. But if we told them in advance, because we do this with like the Game Awards, where we're like, hey, if you want to be considered for the Game Award, we need your application and what awards you want to be considered for. So we could be like, hey, if you want to be on this this show with Steven, like, we need you to sign up for a time on the schedule. We need you to pre-send us the trailer. We could try doing stuff like that.
No, that would work. And that's something we learned. So it's hard because my wife gets there on Saturday, which is fine. But we didn't really plan ahead with panels because we didn't know what we were getting into with GDEX. So what normally we do is we have like on an iPad, she'll go up to somebody that says, how do I get on this panel? How do I, like, a lot of times we get the voice actors, like the Pacinas are around at different conventions, and they'll like send their manager over and they'll be like, how do we get on this? And whenever you want. And my wife will come over and she'll schedule them in. So that way I'm not wondering, hey, it's 1:00. Who am I talking to? Or if it's another group of guys that do a podcast, maybe I'll take a break and I'll let them have let them have the table. It gives me a rest for an hour. They can do their podcast, if you will. And then I get to go rest the voice a little bit and then come back and do something. So having something scheduled, I think 100%, if we do something like that next year, 100%, we need to do that.
Sweet. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. I think anything we can do to help the developers get their stuff out there and be successful. Real fast, SSU Games, hi from Shawnee State. Hello. An hour-long Jeff Keighley-like show with trailers. We've thought about that. We've thought about mixing trailers and stuff into the awards show, and maybe we will. I'm just trying to, like, I don't know. I mean, if people want to do it, I just know, like, the awards show happens at 6, and by then, most people are just, like, burnt out. I don't know if exhibitors want to sit for an hour-long awards show or not, but maybe they do. I don't know.
I didn't even get to go to it, unfortunately, because my young one, we had to get her some dinner and get her to bed by 7. So,
and we may move the awards show earlier in the day. I don't know. It's hard because the exhibitors are working on the floor, and so it's like, do we just close down the floor for like an hour, or like have the exhibitors not all able to be there? And like if somebody wins, I want the entire team to be able to get up on stage with the award and get the photo and all. Could
you move it to Friday night or Friday, like after setup, where they could, because then they could display the award the whole weekend long on their booth?
We potentially could move it to like a Friday night before the mixer or something like that. It could lead into the mixer. That's not a bad idea.
Because then they could say, hey, I won first place in audio, and they can showcase that at their booth. I know as a content creator walking the floor, if I see something like that, well, there's a reason that they won. I've never heard of this game. So I'm going to go over and want to cover it, not to exclude everybody else, because obviously we still go to the other people, but it just kind of stands out.
Yeah. So yeah, we normally do. This was the first year where we didn't have the awards at the show, and that was just due to timing. We didn't get all the bases in, I guess, to print them all out. We got the awards for the tournaments. So normally they do have them at their booth, but this year we didn't have them, so we're going to send them out. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right, you question for Chris. What did GDEX Year 13 teach you, if anything? Oh my God, you're always asking me these tough questions. Oh, geez. Like this might sound a little cheesy here, but I'll just kind of say it, right? But like last year, hi Pumpkin. Last year was a really rough year, to the point where we were debating if we were even going to do GDEX this year. And if this year had been rough like last year, that was probably going to be the end. I mean, last year we lost like 40 grand on GDEX, and I don't have $40,000 just sitting around, right? So we needed to make sure that we could afford to pay off this year and have it be in a good space. So to answer your question, I mean, I as someone who's like the guy in charge and dealing with all the finances and all that, like the show can be incredibly stressful. And sometimes I get lost in, working on all of the being in the trenches. That, it's awesome to be reminded that like our community is amazing, and that we have a lot of people that support this show and that love this show, and that this show actually means a lot to people, because to me sometimes it's just like a giant ball of stress, right? And like I don't always get to see the impact that it has on folks, which is kind of similar to like us as people. You never really know the impact that you have on people. The things you say or the things you do that maybe you don't even remember might have a lifelong impact on somebody. And so, lots of people were coming up to me this year just being, so glad that the show is continuing, and how much it meant, and how much this year really, really was a great experience for them. And so, I mean, I don't know if that's something I learned, I guess, but maybe it was something I was reminded of, that this show matters to a lot of people, and there isn't an equivalent of it really anywhere in the Midwest, really in most states and most of the country. I mean, you could argue like GDC, the Game Developers Conference, or PAX or whatever, but those are different beasts. And the reality is a lot of those shows are just out of the price range for small studios. A PAX 10 by 10 space at PAX is like $1,500, maybe even more now. And like, I don't even think you get a table or anything. I think you literally just get the space. And so like we charge $300. You get a table, you get chairs. Our ice space, the ISC, we charge $225. You get a table, and we cover your electric, because we want to provide a pathway for students and hobbyists to be able to get in there. So yeah, I mean, I went to DICE. This is just a side thing. DICE, which is like the executive event for the games industry. It was in Vegas. Do you want to take a guess on what the cost of the base ticket for DICE is before you do any of the other events?
About $250.
$250? Is that? It is.
Is that what it is?
It is $3,400.
Oh my word!
For a base ticket. And that doesn't count hotel, travel. Like there was a poker tournament for DICE people that were going to come in. The poker tournament was $500 to enter, in addition to the $3,400 ticket price. That's so like ridiculous. some of this stuff is just way out of range. And then you look at GDEX and you're like, I mean, we've got people from Microsoft, Xbox, Unity, I mean, Riot, just tons of different. I mean, some of the people that are speaking at GDEX have been in the AAA industry for decades, and they're able to come. Our art portfolio that we do on Sunday, where students can come and talk to artists. I mean, the people that lead that art portfolio are like top tier professionals that are giving you really solid advice and critiques You're not going to get that for, $60 for a weekend pass anywhere else, right?
And that's one thing you and I were talking about, because I was under the impression this was a game developer convention. It wasn't just a game convention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something over the next year us as creators to push that this is, because we even went back, we looked, Chris, and even the Columbus, I think on their site, they even kind of categorized you as a game developers convention.
On the convention center site?
On the convention center site, you'll have to go in and look at it. I think Scott was showing me, I think it was the convention center site. And even like, if that's not the message you want getting out, we definitely got to, us as creators, but also push that's not the case, right? Like, we want that this is a gaming convention for gamers.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the thing is I want both sides of it. Like, obviously the game developer side, but like when the developers are there, they want gamers. They want people playing their games, and there's plenty of tournaments and all sorts of cool stuff and free giveaways and all sorts of cool things like that. So, I definitely think we could be, maybe we need to segment out our messaging a little bit more in certain respects or whatever. But I definitely think we could be more clear on that. This is a celebration of games, no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think you just said it, getting gamers there, getting people there. Because I think having that go out would maybe open the door more for people to show up and get them excited, like bring their kids out to play some of these indie games. And I mean, having vendors there is awesome too. Now, what are you thinking next year with, Gary's talking about he wants to do his show solo again next year. Do you usually have vendors on a normal GDEX year when you're not, partnering with, like, say, Gary, and maybe you end up partnering again, but do you do vendors, or is it strictly,
Yeah.
developers displaying or whatever?
Yeah. So, as far as Corgs goes, like, we Gary and I haven't debriefed since we talked a little bit Sunday, but we haven't chatted since then. The past couple of days have just been resting.
Sure.
So we'll chat about that and see what that works. But yeah, we've had vendors. We've always had artists. And then we've had vendors in the past, sometimes selling like game merch, other times selling like collectibles and stuff. For me, it's something that, like, if the audiences like it, and I think, just personally from what I saw, I haven't had a chance to, like, really, like I said, debrief or talk to anybody. It seemed like a pretty good mix. There were folks that came for games and then ended up buying, a whole bunch of retro collectible stuff. And there were people that came for the collectibles that ended up going to the artist alley and buying some cool art stuff, and or attending a panel or something. So I think overall, the impression that I got was that it was a good audience mix, and people found a lot to do. So I think that's great. As far as Gary with Corgs, I know he's always it's his baby.
He's
right?
usually earlier in the year. He's like May or June. He usually does it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got his May show. He likes, it's his baby. He likes doing it there. And so if that's something that he wants to do, then, cool. Yeah. We'll support him and promote it and stuff. The issue with us is, one, we've been doing it in our time frame for 13 years, more or less. And the other thing to remember is that, like, May through August is like the big period for the video game industry. That's when, like, PAX is, GDC tends to be, and starting in March. June used to be E3, and so, like, nothing happened in the game space that wasn't involving E3. And now with E3 gone, there's all these different, like, the Summer of Games Fest. Jeff Keighley's got a thing. Like, everyone's trying to fill in that June spot, so I don't want to compete against there, because I won't get any exhibitors or speakers because they're all doing something else. So we've found our sort of niche for the video game side, where we like this mid-September to mid-October range. It doesn't make sense for us to go to May, and it may not make sense for Gary in the long run to come into September. That's a decision he'll have to make. But I think overall, to answer the question you're really asking is, I would be open to doing that again and having that collaboration. And if we can keep pushing and growing an audience that sees the value in these different experiences. I mean, hell, even my sister bought for my niece Emery, who's 5. She ended up buying something from one of the Korg's tables. Just because Emery, it was like a Barbie thing, and Emery really wanted it, and so my sister bought it. And like, if that hadn't have been there, she wouldn't have bought that. So there was definitely some crossover. And my sister's not into video games like at all. She doesn't play games. So
yeah, that's what I think. Like the pop culture, like the 3D. There was a gal there that was selling 3D print. Like my kid bought the Master Sword, but it was cool because when you pull it out, the sword gets longer the way she made it, where it compresses inside.
Yeah.
We got my little one from her booth. We also got her a Rey from Star Wars lightsaber. So she's always playing with my lightsabers here. So we decided to get her own. I think having that element there really opens it up to a family oriented event. So whether or not Gary decides to stay partnered, or you just invite. I think having that element. The only thing I was disappointed with was on Sunday, like a lot of the guys weren't there. They just, and I know they had the option to leave, but that was kind of disappointing because some things slowed down on Sunday where I could actually get around and look at booths, it was slamming all weekend. And then it was like, they're already gone. So that was kind of, from me, that was kind of a little disappointing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that was there's a little behind the curtains here. That was something that Gary and I talked to, because our show is a 4-day show, but it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of exhibiting. And Gary he was like, I don't know if my exhibitors are going to want to do a 3-day show. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll create these separate Korgs tables. And then he's like, well, I think there's only some people that might want to only do one show or one day. And I was like, all right, well, we'll create a Saturday only table. I knew that was going to happen, right? Like, to have this area that just disappears overnight into Sunday, like, it's going to create a weird space. Like, maybe in the future, if we do that again, I was kind of thinking about like, well, maybe if I intersperse the Saturday only tables with the normal tables, and then when they leave, like, I 100% guarantee you that the people that are there all weekend will just grab the table and throw more stuff on it. It'll just like, I think it'll naturally kind of fill itself out. But yeah, you're right. It does create like a sense where it's just like, oh, this big portion of the event's gone,
Yeah.
So I don't quite know the answer to that part yet, but it is something worth thinking about.
I mean, just like me. I mean, you had me in a great spot. You had me up near the front where people are coming in, and normally like at CGC and different places like that, I'll start tearing down like an hour before at the very end, because it's a lot of equipment to tear down.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff.
Like my wife and them, they were coming up to me and they're like, well, do you want to start tearing down? I'm like, no, we're in the front. I don't want people that are just coming in to think the show's over and it's like 3:00, right? So I'm like, we're just gonna stick it out till 4, and then we'll start tearing down like when we're supposed to, because I mean, I think positioning also plays a role. If you're in the very back, I mean, and you got to start picking up little things here and there, it's no big deal. But when you're right out front as an exhibit, it kind of says, oh, the show's over, go home. So
yeah,
you don't want to do that either.
Yeah, that's something that we really push for, where it's like, please don't break down until 4, because it does create this sense amongst the guests where they're like, oh, should I be leaving now? Like, what's going on? And we end a couple hours early on Sunday anyway. I really your setup was great. I'm glad we put you in the front. I mean, even next year we might even make it a little bit more central, because it could be cool just coming straight in to see your space. And we usually put the Extra Life charity front and center as well, so they get prime real estate. And then we had the Red Bull area and the Red Bull truck. Hey,
yeah,
that was cool, because that had some good vibes in it. So yeah, I'm always trying to keep stuff that, like, towards the front. And then we do stuff too. Like, I really try on our floor plan to make sure there's no bad spaces. Like, everything's facing in. There's a way that when you're walking around, you're seeing everything. We put the ice and the artists in the center, which is something a lot of shows don't do. sometimes the artist alley is like way off in the distance somewhere, and they feel like they're almost in a different show. And I make sure that those people are front and center in there. So I need a disco. I need a disco ball.
Yeah.
So it's
fun. You're saying in the booth. In the booth. We need
in the
disco
booth.
ball. That's what
it's funny. You went to CGC last year, Cleveland Gaming Classic last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually going. I'll be going next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I might make an appearance. I'll see. But I don't know if you remember, like there's that like laser disco ball light thing that would be in like the arcade area and like shining on the floor and the walls. Dude, sometimes that thing would be really like disorienting.
Yeah.
You'd walk by and then like your eye would catch the light and then it'd feel like the whole floor is like so we try to be careful with stuff like that. But I would love, this is like, if we could afford it, I would love to turn each area in GDEX and make it almost like a video game. Like here's the market area, and here's maybe like a forest area, and like create like different zones that have different vibes and stuff, with maybe projection mapping or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. So it feels like you're, it feels like you're in like Legend of Zelda walking around a city or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was something too. We were kicking around, figuring out a way, because obviously I'd have to get a trailer or something, but be able to set up like you've seen how CGC does it when they go to advertise the convention at other conventions, where they set up like a 80s living room basement type of thing with the ugly carpet and the couch and the CRT TV. That was something that I was thinking about too for as an interview space, right? Rather than just tables where you're sitting around and it's you're holding the microphone, and you're able to talk that way, where I'm talking to you and we're just sitting and chilling, like really really loosey goosey type of thing. And just I wonder if that would help with the indie developers being in a space like that where it's not so uptight, maybe.
Yeah, it might. I think maintaining an informal. I mean, at the end of the day, like we're in video games, right? We're supposed to be having fun here. And like it's a very professional industry. It's a big industry. Like, we take what we do seriously, but it's still, I want a fun, easy vibe to come in. We actually did that in 2020 when we were debating whether we wanted to not do GDEX because of COVID. And the team, I was kind of on the side of like, this is a crazy year. I'm exhausted. Maybe we skip it a year. And our team, rightfully so, was like, we should do something. Let's do something. So we ended up turning one of our rooms in our office into exactly what you said. We made it look like it was like a living room. And we brought in a couch, and we had like these TVs, and it was just a really cool informal thing where we had a couple guests come over throughout the weekend, and then the rest of our talks were virtual. So they just sent us the video and we just played the video, and then they usually did like a live Q&A after the video. That was a really good experience, and it created a nice vibe. But to your point, I mean, now you're talking about, bringing in couches and all sorts of stuff, and it becomes a thing. One
thing I would say, and this is something that I found, again, my wife, who doesn't know anything, like she comes in, she said it would be nice, like when you send out, because not everybody uses that. What was it? Not Eventbrite, but what is it?
Eventney.
Eventney.
Yeah.
A lot of vendors were coming up to us and asking where their booth was. Like I know Smash ran into us outside, and he says, "Hey man, do you know where my booth is? I'm looking for it." Yeah. And having a map that's maybe received through email or something of it that people can put on their phones to kind of zoom in, because if they're not looking at that, I think that would be kind of helpful, along with like maybe a list of who's at what booth.
So in years past, we have had that. The reason we didn't have it this year, actually, when there was the big GDEX Corgscon banner. We normally have a big banner right next to it that has the full map with like all those things. We didn't get to that this year because our artist designer Katie just had her first baby like 3 weeks ago, and so we ran out of time on the biological clock to get some of our typical design stuff done. But yeah, I agree. we probably could have at a minimum just taken the event map and thrown it up as a PDF or something.
Just for something.
But we kind of just, that was on me. We just got busy and kind of forgot about
No,
it.
it's not saying that it was bad. It's just like if you're looking for things that at least what we heard was approval, and you didn't have it with Ohio State playing the same day. That didn't help matters either.
Yeah, so we definitely we always try to avoid OSU games if we can, particularly home games. This year we kind of lucked out because it was it Rambling or whatever,
3:00 game, I think it was.
Yeah, whatever. So that might have hurt us a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like the entire city revolves around OSU football Saturday. It's hard to ignore. Yep. It's hard to navigate. But I think overall, I mean, this weekend was great. Like the weather was, I mean, we couldn't have asked for better weather. It was so gorgeous.
Oh no, absolutely.
I think people just had fun. We got a comment here. Was a St. Kerrigan, like being out on the floor. Some of the other cons we've been spread out, the indie space because of hotels. Yeah, this felt more like a PAX where I was in the same space as the major players. Yeah, I mean that's the whole point. Is like we don't if we are trying to be a platform to help people be successful, then we should treat people in a professional way to help them be successful. And so that's what we're trying to do here. The event schedule didn't display well on the Android phone. Okay.
And maybe Chris, I know I'm jumping back to what we talked about with the devs coming in.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something we can work on partnering with, because I have a system, without getting geeky and nerdy here, but it's basically like a little hip pouch computer type thing that streams, that we could hook to a camera. If we had a camera guy and Smash, let's say I was talking with him for a little bit, where he's walking the floor with a wireless mic talking to these guys, sending the signal back to the booth, which we can do that.
Okay. I think that would be awesome.
Where we could kind of work something out in that fashion. Like if he has somebody that can run camera for him, or, that just to make it even better, where we're like, okay, I get a text message from Smash. He's like, all right, I'm at a such and such booth. And we say, okay, guys, we're going to take a break right now from the content here. We're going to take you live on the floor. Smash is at, the Violets of Amicus, we'll just say for.
Mm-hmm.
So then we cut them and he says, hey, thanks guys in the booth. We're here with Dan and he's going to talk to us about his game. Go Dan, and then he sends it back to us.
I think that's awesome.
We might be able to do something like that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a wonderful idea. I'd love to have more dynamic stuff like that. I just need people to help me because it gets overwhelming. That's why
I haven't done it.
Yep,
I haven't done it because it's having people that can do that and handle that. And I'm not saying Smash. I'm just using him as an example because he was there, right?
I mean, he volunteered through. He loves doing stuff like that. So
okay. It's got to be somebody that can handle themselves, and you got to have somebody that can run camera for them. So that's
absolutely
the double-edged sword, right?
Yep. Looks like we got a pop in from one of the Master Hands folks. It says, thanks for having us. The after party was so fun. Yeah, I thought the after party was great. Master Hand, you all were for a hype, hyping up the crowd, getting the things going. Like, you were great. I actually have a really awesome photo. I got to edit it. I'm going to post it. And what I normally do is I take all of our photos and put them on, like from our photographers and stuff. We'll put them on Drive, and then we share out the link. So any photos that we create, you're welcome to use for your own promotion. Just make sure you give the appropriate credit back to us. But we share all of our promo stuff. So we got some really good shots of Master Hand, but thanks so much. And the concert, that was another thing. Like we pulled that concert together in like a week. And I'm really glad we did it, because I think it turned out to be really awesome. It was a lot of fun. And I just want to have music more involved in the show anyway. Like I just love having music.
Yeah, like I said, as my kid gets older, it'll make it a little bit easier for me to be able to attend that. But we usually have to go back and, but a lot of times some people are just so exhausted. These guys are hardcore, man. They get going, man.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, I totally get it. It's a long day, after being on the floor for 8 hours and then, going to the awards ceremony. Most people are just like, I just want to eat and then be done.
Yeah.
And so we're always kind of back and forth on, because at the end of the day, it does come down to money, right? Is it worth putting in $10,000 into staging and equipment for a concert if nobody's gonna come to it, or not as many people that you want? And so for us, it's always kind of like, well, is this going to create the experience we want? And do we view it as almost like an investment in the future, where people will start to get used to the idea of there being a concert and then they'll start to attend it? And so, I mean, ultimately, dude, this is not a surprise. Like, it all comes down to money, right? Like, if we can pull in money, we can do all sorts of cool stuff. Like, that's not a surprise. So the more sponsorships and guests we get, the more that opens us up to trying new, interesting things. And I think it was you as well. I think it was you mentioned about Sunday Kids Day and bringing out more kids experiences. And I think that's really smart as well.
Yeah, just say like even Connects, Xbox Connects, stuff that they can just do without holding things. Because I mean, I have an almost 2-year-old. They are the germ magnets of the world. So I get it. You don't need to be having to clean up things all the time. So just something that they can do without having to have a staff there constantly cleaning things and would be ideal or not. But what I was gonna say was too, I think it was either the mixer. I wanted to go to the mixer. We got stuck at the booth till almost 7:00 because we had a technical issue that I wanted to get solved. It wasn't a big deal. It was just I had to create a new workflow because for whatever stupid reason, it worked Friday. But it didn't work Saturday. Gremlins in the convention hall. It's just how it is. But so I redid all that, and then by the time we got out there, I was like, "Hey, do you want to pop in for the mixer?" And the kids were like, "We just want food." Like they were just like, "Let's go." So we just went and decompressed and
sure, yeah.
But that's something I do regret that I missed.
Well, there's always next year. It was. I think this was the best mixer we've ever had. To be honest, I made a joke.
Rub it in.
Yeah, totally. I made a joke on Sunday. I don't remember what the context was, but somebody mentioned something, and I was like, "Oh, it's probably the best we ever had." And I sort of started and stopped, and I was like, "I think every part of this GDEX, more or less, was the best we've ever had." We didn't sell the most tickets. Like, our highest attendance was 2019, but we're back up into the realm we were. I mean, COVID just decimated the show, right? And so it's taken us 3 or 4 years to kind of get back up into the realm of where we were. But besides just sort of like, and our sponsorship was atrocious this year. I've mentioned that before. And we have a fundraiser. If you're interested in supporting us, you can go to the GDEX.com, and we'll have a fundraiser open until the end of the month to help us make up for that sponsorship, because just big companies just aren't spending money this year. And that sucks. But besides those two things, like, I thought the mixer was amazing. The concert was amazing. The show floor had a really good vibe and energy. A lot of really cool games. Having you there was great. I think that was a really great experience that we added to it. Red Bull being there was really fun. Korgs being there, and this, we already talked about this, bringing just a different sort of audience and sense of the games industry. Our speakers were like top notch this year. I heard the tournaments were really fun. So it just seemed like, all in all, I don't know. I think we did it, I guess.
Yeah, in the chat room, Innovate says Sunday Kids Day does sound like a cool idea. And I was thinking too, the other thing too, you talked about cosplay on our panel, at the booth. I was wondering, maybe there's some local guys that are just looking for exposure that would gladly come out and be like Darth Vader or be Spider-Man and walk around the floor and meet kids and take pictures, or Master Chiefs or any other like really high-end costume character that
we had
the kids would love to see,
We had the Star Wars group out last year, and they brought out a bunch of really cool stuff. Yeah, but they had a conflict this weekend, I believe.
Okay.
And so we love having them out. And then we've tried doing cosplay contests in the past, but I mean, you're talking about something a little more informal, just kind of people coming out and having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're just walking the floor all day, or maybe they have a little area with a banner that says, "Hey, I'm whatever you can rent me if you're local in Columbus to come to your birthday party or whatever they want to do. But they're meeting kids, and I think that, kid looks at Spider-Man and he's got a good costume. That's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that adds to the kids element, like for a Sunday, and that's it. You're only having them come out Sunday. Like we're gonna have, a lot of stuff for family on Sunday if you're advertising it. Like you're gonna have vendors to buy stuff from. You're gonna have, kids games and, maybe door prizes or something. Who knows? And even the vendors can jump in on that. Like that's something. If you said to me, "Hey, we're gonna do that," I'd bring games that we could give away to kids, get the kids to come up on the panel and say their favorite game or something, give them a game,
Yeah.
I think that makes it for a family, and they're like, hey, I want to bring my kid back here next year.
Yeah. Whoever's playing Castlevania behind you is getting their ass kicked. Is that the demo?
Oh, it's just looping. It's just looping, and then I got Metal Slug over there.
Nice. Yeah. Belmont's not doing so great against
yeah, they're not. Castlevania is just one of my favorite series, so I always have it on the.
Totally. Well, I think we're getting close to wrapping up here. So if there's any last questions from the chat, please ask. Happy to answer them. But Stephen, for you, I really again appreciate you being there. You were just unbelievably sort of gracious and helpful for coming to a show you'd never been before, you didn't know anything about. Like you went all in. And I think you made the experience significantly better. So I'm very grateful.
I appreciate that. And I said to you on the floor, you were one of the most accommodating con runners that I've worked with. And if you couldn't do it, you figured out a way that you could do it. Right. So you made our experience, that much better. And I know tonight we're going to do me and Brandy, we're going to be doing a Corgs wrap up, GDEX and Corgs wrap up as well, and kind of talk about the experience, show a little of the games that I found for the indie developers, and just kind of pickups for our Game Masters podcast. So that'll be a lot of fun, and we without the pressure of having the owner on, we could sit there and say, like, look, you guys need to check this out. If it wasn't on your con calendar, go check it out, and give you a follow and see if maybe next year they'll come out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We got a comment from one of the Dice Tower team members. The drive from Minnesota suck less. Yeah, I wish I could make the drive suck less, but I appreciate you coming out. I got to look at the numbers, but I'm curious about how many guests from how many states we got this year, because it seemed like it was.
Well, Smash said he's from Utah, right?
Yeah, he's from
the
Utah.
Furthest that came out.
California is always the furthest, but that's just the nature.
Oh, you did have somebody from California?
Yeah. That's just the nature of the games industry, right? Like we're going to get a contingent of people from California just because and usually California and like the Seattle area, we'll get some folks from. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Stephen, thank you for jumping on the show and chatting with me and being a part of it this year. Reminder, we do this every Wednesday at 10 a.m. We talk about different elements of the games industry. I try to have a special guest, but this was our special GDEX wrap-up episode. So really appreciate you all being here. Reminder that you can follow us at the GDEX on all the social medias. And keep an eye on emails. We got a whole bunch of emails that will be coming out for a variety of things, including we're going to send out the performers list with links to all of those. So if you really liked any of the performers, or maybe you missed one and you wanted to see what they were about, we'll have links for that. And then we still have a couple giveaways, and then we've got an email that we'll send out probably tomorrow, which is anybody that attended GDEX this year, whether as a guest or a volunteer or whatever, we have discount codes for the Kappa Music Series. We have the Avatar: The Last Airbender that show's happening next Tuesday, so that one's happening. But we have a Witcher concert, a PlayStation concert, and a Stardew Valley concert that we'll be mentioning, and those are like actual orchestral concerts coming to the Kappa theater here. in Columbus. So we'll be sending those links out if you want to get discounts. And we still have a couple door prizes we're getting rid of. So keep an eye out for us. But besides that, thank you all so much for being on the show. Thank you all so much for supporting GDEX. It really means a lot to me and the team. And if you see us around, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Take care, everybody.